Hello there. Happy Tuesday evening. Welcome to Raincross Farms Makery. I'm Robin, and behind the computer, behind the camera is Bill. We are coming to you just outside of Lewiston, Idaho, and we are so happy to be hosting this segment of Craft Round the Clock and their tie-dye week. So, welcome everyone. Come on in, pull up a seat, grab yourself a beverage of choice, and come and see what little tie-dye goodness we have for you. So if you are watching live, there'll be a red box up here that says live. Let us know where you're watching from if you're new, and let us know you're here. Say hello. If the box is not there, you're watching the replay. We love our replayers just as much as our livers, so comment #replay so we know when you were watching. So I am going to take just a second, pull up the live on my phone so I can see comments a little closer. Awesome. Hey, Patty. How are you? How's your husband? Okay. If you watch lives, you know what to do. Like or love our video. Follow our page. Share our video out to... think of a friend that you think might enjoy crafting, or if you watched us, somebody who might enjoy us, and share it to them. And we also have stars activated, so we appreciate you all so much for helping us out in whatever way you are so inclined. So, welcome everyone. Is everyone having a good week so far? Still the beginning of the week? This was our first day in a while of no rain, so we actually had a little bit of sunshine and cool temperatures. Not everybody has cool temperatures. I'm glad he's doing good. So tell me what your temperature has been. Okay, so our project today, tie-dye theme week, and we were kind of encouraged to not just show how to tie-dye a t-shirt. So I'm not going to show you how to tie-dye a t-shirt, because you can find that on YouTube all day long. But I am going to use a tie-dyed t-shirt that I did not do. I purchased this. And we are going to turn this into a cute little practical tote bag. Perfect for, you can do your a little bit of grocery shopping. You can take it to the beach. It's going to be awesome. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. It's a no-sew project. So you don't have to do any sewing, you don't have to do any gluing. All you really need is a t-shirt and a pair of scissors and your fingers. Hi, Tracy. Welcome. How is everybody? We are going to dress it up one little way towards the end after I make up the tote bag. We're going to ink one of our transfers onto it. So you have to be thinking about which transfer you want me to put on this. So here's our first one. Don't give up on your dreams. Keep sleeping. Okay, don't give up on your dreams. Keep sleeping. Get it? Play on words. Okay. Another one. So many of my smiles begin with you. And here's one I really like. I used to crastinate, but I got so good, I went pro. Okay. And our last choice is the best views come after the hardest climb. So, hi, Susie. Glad to have you back. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so be thinking about, and you can vote anytime which of these four you want, and then we'll get started on the project. So don't give up on your dreams, so you could type in dreams if this is the one you want. The best views, you could call this views. Okay. This one is procrastinate. And this one is smiles. So tell me which one you would like to see me ink on this t-shirt. And Bill is going to be keeping track of votes. Okay, so to make the tote bag, whoops, pardon me, I just lost all my transfers. There we go. I'm back.
You make her laugh.
Well, I'm glad. Okay, so here is what's going to be our tote bag. And so to start with, we are going to kind of line up the bottom here. And I'm going to get a pair of scissors. And this has a hem. This is just a cotton polyester blend t-shirt. It's an extra large. And it has this little tag. I'm going to remove that tag. And I'm going to just trim off, this hem. Just straight across. Doesn't have to be perfect.
Tammy says views.
Okay. So 1 vote for views. And I will, every couple of minutes, I'll show the transfers again. So you can keep voting. Okay. So I've got this marked off. Now I'm going to take some painter's tape, and I'm just going to measure like 4 inches up. Roughly 4 inches. It doesn't have to be exact. Whoops. That turned out just about the right length. Okay, so 4 inches up. I could just take a pen and mark it, but I'm going to slice little strips on this bottom part, kind of like a fringe. How many of you lived through fringe days?
Through what?
Days of fringe. When fringe was a popular fashion statement.
The only fringe I wore was on a vest. No, it was a buckskin shirt or something like that we had at the camp.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut these at most an inch, between 3/4 of an inch and an inch. And again, it doesn't have to be exact. So I'm just going to kind of use my thumb, part of my thumb as a guide. And I'm just going to start at the bottom. And I'm just going to clip it up to that tape. And I'll do another one. And I'm just going to go all the way across, roughly the same width. So if you are just joining us, we are taking this awesome tie-dye t-shirt. You could do any kind of t-shirt. You could also do a tank top. But in the spirit of tie-dye, I'm using a tie-dye t-shirt, and we are going to make a no-sew tote bag out of it. So I have cut off the hem, and I just, with some tape, marked it up about 4 inches. And now I'm cutting front and back into strips up to that tape line, about 3/4 of an inch wide, maybe up to an inch, all the way across. Does anybody see where I'm going with this at all?
I can't see anything.
You
Let's
can't
see if
see
this
anything.
helps.
You're blind.
Oh, look,
there
that
you
helps.
go.
Now we can see where we're going.
Okay. So if it makes you feel better to measure, you're welcome to do that. I'm pretty OCD, and I'm doing okay not measuring, because it's really not going to matter. You just want to try and cut them mostly straight. If they're crooked, that's okay too.
Now, does it matter what size of shirt you have?
Nope.
So like,
The bigger the tote bag, the bigger the shirt. Or the other way around.
do you guys like save t-shirts? Do you have a bunch of them? I mean, I have a bunch of t-shirts, but I wear mine, so I'm not going to be cutting mine up. Where did you get that one?
This one I bought.
Where'd you buy it at?
I'm pretty sure it's not their normal label, but I'm pretty sure I got this at Walmart, because that's about the only place I ever go. So, but it does not have to be a new t-shirt. It doesn't have to be tie-dyed. It can be dirty. It can be a triple extra large. It can be a child small. The bigger the shirt, the bigger your tote bag. And then I'm going to get down here to the end. I'm going to decide, do I want to do 2 or 3? I think I'm going to do 3. Okay. And then these very edges, sometimes there's a seam, sometimes there's not. There happens to be a seam here, but I'm just going to clip that right there, right along the edge of the seam. So now you're going to have to decide, is this going to be better than paint drying or not?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm still going to need those scissors. So I've got all this fringe. That would be a cute little shirt too.
So again,
but we're not making a shirt.
What was our choices? You had views.
Okay, so here's our choices of when we're done, we're going to chalk or ink a design on this. And our choices are, so many of my smiles begin with you. So if you like this one the best, type in smiles.
We're going to type in smiles so I know which one to write down.
I used to procrastinate, but I got so good I went pro. So this would be procrastinate if you want to see this one on the bag. The best views come after the hardest climb. I think we've got 1 vote for this already. So if you like this one to be on the shirt/tote bag, type in views. And
we got 1 vote.
And 1 more.
Tammy voted for that.
And then don't give up on your dreams. Keep sleeping. So that would be dreams. Okay. So I'm asking for votes. So when I'm done with this, I'll know what you want me to ink on it. Okay. What I'm going to do next. I'm done with this tape. That was just so I know how long to do these. Now I'm going to start tying these. So I'm going to start at the end. I'm going to tie a top one to a bottom one. And I'm just going to tie a square knot.
Okay, we got views. Patty says
another views.
Also.
No dirty shirts.
Well,
Well, they can have stains on them, but wash them, yes. Okay, and then I'm going to do
2 views.
Top to bottom. So pretty much where I cut the 2 at the same time, I'm going to just go through and I'm going to tie a square knot. Now it looks a little better if you kind of do it uniformly, as in you start with the same one over the top, but it doesn't really matter. And you'll kind of get into a rhythm and kind of snug them up. Hey, Angelica, welcome. I am so glad you're here. Tell us where you're watching from. We are making a tote bag out of a t-shirt. Okay, so this is step 1, is cut off the bottom hem and measure up about 4 inches and then trim some little strips about 3/4 of an inch wide. And now I'm just tying these all together.
South Carolina?
South Carolina, welcome.
Yay.
How's your weather? Is it hot there?
I think that's where Hal is. I think it's South Carolina. It might be North Carolina. I have a friend who just moved there. He and his wife just moved. He is a retired pastor, and he moved there from Estes Park.
Judith, welcome from Minnesota. You're a newbie. We are so glad to have you. We are in the spirit of, since a couple people are hopping on, in the spirit of tie-dye. I'm not showing you a tie-dye technique because if you've been watching Craft Round the Clock, you've gotten a ton of tie-dye ideas. So after you have maybe made a tie-dye t-shirt or purchased one, or any kind of t-shirt, you can make a tote bag out of it. So this would be really cute for all those old t-shirts that, like for kids' sports teams or that they're no longer part of, and you just have this accumulation of a million t-shirts or a college t-shirt. Just make some tote bags out of it.
Let's see, the statements again were the views were better after a long, hard climb or whatever that was. Dreams was don't give up on your
Don't
dreams.
give up on your dreams. Keep sleeping.
And then I
procrastinate. I used to procrastinate, but I got so good I went pro. And then so many of my smiles, something cute. Begin with you. So many of my smiles begin with you.
Yes, thank you, Tammy, for saying something. I'm over here being busy.
Oh, okay.
I'm over here being busy. I'm cleaning my...
He's busy cleaning bullets.
Yeah.
He's polishing bullets. Is that okay to say on Facebook?
They needed.
He's not shooting anybody. He's just polishing them. Somebody gave him some used casings. And I watched Lisa with Heart's Desire make her tie-dye wooden round. I think I saw a couple of minutes of that where she painted it all up. She has a lot of patience.
Oh my. So it's been hot in the 90s today in SoCal. But, Angelica, it's not humid there yet, is it?
In SoCal, South Carolina. You say SoCal. Huh?
No, not SoCal.
South Carolina. Yeah. Okay, almost done. Well, we're kind of almost done. Okay, so when these are all tied, remember I said you don't have to sew this. This will hold the bottom of the bag closed. But it's not a perfectly, there's going to be some little gaps in it, which is okay. But I'm going to show you a way to kind of remove some of those gaps. I'll show you, hopefully I can show you what I mean. Okay. So this doesn't take long at all. You could do a whole bunch of these just sitting, watching TV. So you get to the end and then you tie these last two. Okay, so just a square knot on each one. And when you're done, it will be kind of shrunken together. You can kind of gently pull it apart. Now, when you do that, let me show you. It kind of leaves, there's some gaps in between the knots. I don't know if you can kind of see where my fingers are poking through. So there's some gaps there. So that might be okay, like if you took this to the beach and you don't want sand to get stuck in the bottom of the bag, that would kind of empty the sand out. But to close up some of those holes, this is what we're going to do. We're going to tie another knot, but this time we're going to go from one knot to the next knot. So I'm going to take one of the tails from this first knot and the closest one on the second knot, and I'm going to tie it again. And that's going to kind of close up those holes. Does that make sense?
So you're just doing overhand square knots?
I'm just doing overhand square knots. Okay, so here's the tails from one knot, and here's the tail from the one next to it. So I'm going to take one from this knot and one from this knot, and I'm going to tie those two together. Same thing, just a double knot. Okay, and I'm going to go all the way down again, and that will close up some of those gaps. Okay, and same thing, it should go just about as fast. So again, when I'm done, I got a couple more steps to do, but when I'm done, I'm going to ink a design on this. I know it's got tie-dye, but we're going to put some words on it. And I couldn't decide, so I picked some that I thought would be cute. And I would like for you to vote. Okay, so while I'm doing this, I'm going to lay these out. So there's don't give up on your dreams. Keep sleeping. So many smiles begin with you. I used to procrastinate and I got so good I went pro. And then the best view comes after the hardest climb. So those are our choices. So I'm going to keep tying, and if you haven't already voted, Let me know which one you want to see inked on my tote bag. You kind of get into a rhythm of this. It is not hard. This is something kids could do. You might, if they're younger kids, you might want to kind of be right there to make sure they're tying the right thing. But once they can learn to tie an overhand double knot, they're good to go. They can make lots of cute tote bags. How many of you in your state? Okay, best views. Somebody else voted for best views, so it sounds like that might be the one.
Three of them on best views.
Okay, and that might be good for if you took your tote bag out when you went hiking or to the beach or something, talking about seeing the best views out in nature.
Judith said, don't give up on your dream. Let's put a vote down there.
Okay. Bill's keeping track.
I'm keeping track. I only got one job here.
How many of you, I don't know if this is nationwide. No, it's not, because we live in Idaho, but we are right at the border of Washington State. And in Washington State, they do not give you bags at the grocery store or any retail store. You have to buy them for like 8 cents if you don't bring your own. So tell me, is that true in your area? Do you still get free bags at the stores, or do you have to buy them if you don't bring your own? Now, it's not that way in Idaho.
What was it
in Washington, across the river.
What was it in California? Was that statewide or was it by county?
I think it was county. I know the straws thing was county.
Sylvia, you're watching, I think. What is it, Sylvia? Is it by county or is it by across the state now?
Maybe she doesn't know.
It's been 3 years since I've lived there.
Bill was just looking on his, you know how Facebook sends you reminders of things that happened in your past, memories? It was exactly 3 years ago today that this was his last day of work ever.
That's right.
His last day of teaching.
Left the building.
He was retired exactly 3 years ago. And then he hopped up here as fast as he could. Okay, so I've got all of those done.
Judith says free bags at hers.
Okay, free bags.
And they get bags at, Tammy says they get free bags.
I don't know about you, but I am always forgetting my bags in the car. I have bags in the car, but I get in the store and I realize I left my bags in the car.
Yeah, Aldi Aldi has always been that way.
Okay, so I've got this all tied up.
We got somebody from South Carolina and somebody from North Carolina.
Awesome. All the Carolinas are. Okay, so I've got this all tied up. So it is sealed up. There's a couple little gaps. But now let's make the rest of the bag, because this doesn't really work as a bag yet. So I'm going to take this and fold it in half.
I'm gonna go back to front view here.
Okay.
Tell me if you want me to change the view again.
You might want to. You might want to, because I'm going to be cutting, and they might want to see.
You're going to be cutting again?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm lining up these sleeves as close, the seam as close as I can. Doesn't have to be exact. And I'm going to take a pair of scissors and I'm going to cut the sleeves off. And I'm going to do them both at the same time. And I don't need a pattern. I'm just cutting those off. And then I don't know what you want to do with these. Maybe you could turn them into face masks or something. I don't know. Recycle as you see fit. And now I'm going to cut the opening and make the handles. So the handles are going to be right here. So I'm going to cut down here. Yes, Cricket. So I'm just going to go right about here, and I'm going to make a deep, and make sure, what are we going to do? This one? Make sure that will fit. Okay. So I'm going to go to about right there. And I'm just going to cut a deep curve. Ta-da! Okay, now it kind of looks like a tank top. If you used a tank top, you wouldn't have to do all the cutting. But this kind of gives you a big opening. So it does kind of look like a tank top, but look at this. It is a tote bag. Is that not cool? Is that cool or what? It kind of looks like a t-shirt still, but I can take, how much time do I have? I'm good. I can go to the beach. I can take my beach towel. I can stick this in there. I can get my flip-flops. I can stick them in there. I can do whatever, and I can carry my tote bag with me. Pretty cool. If you cut this big enough, it will kind of go over your shoulder. But is that not a cute little tote bag? I like it. And it's kind of stretchy, so you can shove lots of things in there. Okay, so do we have a final tally? Is it best views? Is best views are winning?
The most votes right now is for views.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the second?
The second one was for dreams.
Dreams. Okay.
If you have time, you can probably do both.
Probably do both. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ink mat. I'm trying to think, what is it? It's my ink mat. It is, take the little plastic protector off. It is just a plastic sheet, but it is sticky. It's like a Cricut mat, and it serves two purposes. And I'm going to stick it. Now, I could have done this before I did the tote bag, or it doesn't matter, I can do it after. It's going to serve two purposes. It's going to hold my fabric in place, and it's also going to protect any ink from traveling through the front layer to the back layer. So remember, it's sticky, so I'm just kind of sticking it down, and I want to make sure, I want to see if it's somewhat centered. Not that it's that crucial. Okay. So I've got this down on my ink mat. And the best views come after the hardest climb. And we're just going to do this in black because there's a lot going on here. So I'm just going to do it in a solid color. And this is new. This is a sticky transfer, so it's meant to be reusable. But because I'm going to put it on fabric, I'm not going to fuzz it. So I'm not going to worry about how sticky this is. If I was putting it on wood or some other sort of surface, I might want to put some lint on it so it's not quite so sticky, so I don't pull up any paint or anything. But because it's going on fabric, I don't need to fuzz it. Okay, so again, these are reusable 10 to 12 times, even more if you take really good care of them. And I'm just pushing that down to make sure the sticky part is adhered to my t-shirt. And wherever, I'm going to make sure there aren't any folds of fabric on the back. Okay. So wherever there is an opening, wherever you don't see that turquoise, there is a fine mesh screen there. And I'm going to go over that screen with our ink. This is our permanent version of color, and I'm going to apply it with a squeegee. And this is really silk screening. So I'm going to take our paste and I'm going to apply it over our screen. So here's our ink.
You are correct, Angelica.
Okay. So I'm putting some ink, probably way too much. I'm putting some ink on my squeegee, and I'm just dragging it down over that screen. And that section has a lot of screen to cover. And back, make sure I'm getting everything covered. And I'm trying to only go in one direction. Get a little bit more. And then you're going to see some magic happening.
Oh, it's magic.
Okay.
It's magic if I've ever seen it.
Okay, so I'm making sure all the screen is covered, and now I'm going to go back over and I'm going to remove any excess, and I'm going to remove any lines that I may have created with the ink. And I'm going to take the excess, put it in my jar because I can reuse that. And I'm going to check my fingers to make sure I don't have any ink on them, because wherever I get ink, it's going to stain. I'm going to pull this out of the way and start from the top. Are you ready? Start from a corner, but I'm going to head to the middle. Woo! Look at that. Awesome. What do you think? What do you think? They look like chalk couture transfers. They are. Ding, 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 ding. They are chalk couture transfers. I am an independent designer for chalk couture, and I just love their stuff. And you saw how simple that was. Easy peasy, right? Now, I could do the other side, but let's just work on this. So we need to heat set our ink in order to make it permanent. If I didn't heat set it and I washed it, it would stain a little bit, but it wouldn't stay there. It wouldn't completely be permanent. So I've got to heat set it. The best thing to do is to let this dry overnight, ideally, till that ink is dry. But you guys don't want to wait around all night, so I'm gonna do a little cheat, and I'm gonna take my little dryer and I'm gonna dry the ink, and then I'm gonna show you how to heat set it. Now, while I'm doing that, I've got my used transfer over here, and I need to clean it up. Not this very second, but until I'm ready to, I'm just gonna spray it with some water so that ink doesn't dry in the screen. It's not the end of the world if it does. It's just easier to clean up if I keep it damp. So I still have the ink mat back under here just to kind of hold it in place until this is dry. I'm going to heat set it with my Cricut Easy Press. You can kind of see that on the screen over here. But you don't have to have one of those. You don't have to have the pricey machine. You can heat set our ink with just a regular household iron. So there's just a few little differences between doing it with an iron and doing it with an Easy Press. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. Okay, I showed you four, thank you Angelica, I showed you four of the transfers that I couldn't decide between. Best Views, So Many of My Smiles Begin With You would look cute on a tote bag. Don't Give Up on Your Dreams, Keep Sleeping. I'd love to see that on a pillowcase. And I want to do a t-shirt that says, I used to procrastinate, got so good I went pro. I wasn't sure which one you would pick. So what I did is I took all four of them and put them in a cart link. If anyone is interested in getting any of these transfers or seeing how much they are or taking a look around in my shop, you can type the word tote bag in the comments and you'll get a link. And like I said, that cart link has all four of those transfers. So don't look at it and look at the price and think, ugh. If you don't need all four of them, don't get all four of them. Take them out of the cart, just like you're shopping. Just like your husband goes to the grocery store and all kinds of things show up. all kinds of things show up in your cart when you get to the check stand.
I notice you read them.
I do. Only because I humor you. Okay. Now I'm just checking to see. It's not completely dry, but it's not leaving any ink on my fingers. So that means it's probably dry enough to heat set. Now, before I heat set, I want to remove this because I will melt this. So I'm going to remove this off the back, and you can kind of see some of the ink did bleed through. So the ink mat was there to stop it from transferring to the back. Not that it would have mattered so much on a tote bag, but on a t-shirt you might care. Okay, so I'm going to get my heating pad, ironing pad, and I'm going to lay this out. And I've got my easy press set at 350 degrees. And if you're using an iron, you want your iron set at medium high, no steam. And now I'm going to get some parchment paper, not wax paper, parchment paper, or if you have like a Teflon sheet, that would work too. So I'm going to get enough of that to cover this. This is to protect my iron plate. In case my ink is not dry, I don't want that ink to get on the bottom of my iron. I'm moving these little wrinkles out of the way and checking. Okay, so 350 degrees. I'm going to set it in place for 30 seconds, and then I'm going to have to move it because this design is bigger than this is wide. So 350. Set the timer. I don't need pressure. I just need the heat. If you're doing it with a household iron, no steam. Medium high, not screaming hot, but medium high. And you're going to do the same thing with the parchment paper, but with the iron, you're going to move it over the surface for about 4 minutes. It takes a little bit longer because it's smaller and you are moving it. I'll explain why you need to move it in just a second. So let me move this up. Do another 30 seconds. On a regular iron, generally they're all made for steam, and they have those little holes at the bottom where the steam comes out. Well, if you just put the iron in place, those little holes would leave indentions on your fabric, and you don't want that. So that's why on a household iron, you keep it moving for about 4 minutes. Okay. So I did it 30 seconds in each spot. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to let it cool off. If I touched it now, the ink is going to feel tacky just because it's hot. But when it cools off, if the ink is no longer feeling tacky, like down here, it's not quite so hot, it's not tacky at all, that means it's heat set. If it's still a little tacky or if you're just not sure, put the parchment paper back down and do it again. Okay. So there we have our easy peasy no sew tote bag with the best views come after the hardest climb. Isn't that cute? Give me some hearts if you like it. Okay, before we go, I'm just going to take a minute. Remember I told you these transfers are reusable, so you don't just purchase them for one use and then you're done. Let me put this away. There, you can use them over and over and over. So I can make a t-shirt out of this. I can make another tote bag. I can make 10 tote bags. I could make wall decor. I could do 10 or 15 different things, but you have to clean them up. So let me show you how you do that. I just take regular water and I start with a paper towel, or this is a Swedish dishcloth. This part is optional, but I really like doing it. I use this to get the bulk of that ink or paste, whatever I'm using, off of my transfer. Okay, and you can see it's not all off, but if this was a paper towel, I could toss it, and I've gotten this much of it cleaned up. these Swedish dishcloths, I can wring it out, I can put it in the washing machine and reuse it over and over. Next, I'm going to go to my board eraser, and I'm going to just get it damp, and I'm going to spray this again, and this works magic. This is a lot like a magic eraser, but there's no chemicals in it because we don't want chemicals on these. Look at how well that is pulling that ink off. And what I'm doing is making sure I get it out of the screen because that's where the magic happens. I don't want any paste or ink stuck in my screen. So I start with the front, peel it up, turn it over, spray the back because the ink likes to hang out back there too. And clean off the back. And when my screen is completely clear, I know I'm done. So I'm going to let this air dry. And when I'm done, when it's air dry, I'm going to put the backer sheet back on. I'm going to put it back in its little cellophane container. And it will be good to use again and again and again. Okay, so any questions, any last comments before we go? Let me stuff this up again. Let's see. We're going to put in our towel. This holds quite a bit. You could do your grocery shopping. You could go to a farmer's market. And I'm going to put in my flip-flops. And oh, I might want a misting bottle at the beach or poolside if it gets too hot. And then here I have my fancy tote bag. No sew. So tell me, are you going to make one? Who's going to make one of these? If you do, I want to see it. So take a picture of it, post it, and let me see it. Okay. So let me pose, and then I'm gonna let the Crafter on the Clock people go to your next session. It almost looks like a shirt, doesn't it? Let me hold it up differently.
Looks like what you're wearing.
Okay. All of this just to get
one.
there we go. Here. Hold it like a... Oh my goodness. Why is this so hard?
It's not that hard. Well, everybody needs to move on to the next one, right? So.
Okay. Anyway, there it is.
Judith wants to know, does it ravel?
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I mean, slightly, but it's a knit. It's a double knit, so it really doesn't ravel. At least I haven't seen it. It kind of will roll when you stretch it. They'll kind of roll, but that's not a big deal. Okay. So next up on Crafter on the Clock is the robin's nest. I might just pop in there to see if her name is Robin or what. Because that's my name. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks. Again, if you're interested in the cart link to see the designs that I mentioned, and especially the one that we chose, type tote bag in the comments. Even if it's the replay, you should still get the link. And we will see you again later. Come follow us on Raincross Farms Makery and see some of our other live videos that we do, see some other fun crafts. So happy tie-dye week, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.